So now that we've inserted one image, we can go insert the rest by copying and pasting the code here, and then we can just modify it. So I'm just going to copy this. And let's go to the example document in Word first, just so I can check what we're doing next. So the next image will be under the subsection photosphere, and it'll be this image here. And the caption will be the photosphere. So let's just go down here to the photosphere. And we're going to paste that code. And then I'm going to change the image title here to photosphere. And it comes up for you, so I'm just going to click on it. And then I'm just going to delete out the extension there. And then I'm going to change the caption here to the photosphere. And change the label to photosphere. And let's just compile that and see where it placed it. Okay, so it looks like it placed it where we want it to be, underneath photosphere, so we're just going to leave that. And let's go to the next one. So the next one will be under the corona subsection here. So I just copied and pasted the figure markup here, and I'm just going to again modify it so that we have corona here instead. And let's just go check what the caption was. So it's just the corona. And I'm just going to make the label corona. Okay, let's compile that and see. Oh, so it actually put it in the subsection on the solar wind. So we're going to have to move this one around, or maybe make it a little smaller, figure out where it might be able to place it. So I'm just going to move it. I'm going to put it above here just to see if that makes a difference. Okay, so that didn't make a difference. So since we have very short subsections here, we're going to try something different. So I'm just going to move this back because that didn't help. And then we're going to add a new package. So let's go to the main tex file. So we're going to add this package called placeins, and this is going to allow us to insert a command called float barrier, which won't allow LaTeX to just float our images wherever it feels it can put it. It'll more force it to be within our subsections, because these subsections are pretty short and we don't really want it to be associated with a different one, because then it won't really make sense. So let's go back now to Sun Interior. And after end figure here, we're going to add the command float barrier. So let's recompile this and see now what happens. Okay, so now, as you can see, it moved that other section that was here, and it put this image within the corona subsection, and the solar wind is now after it. It just means we have a bit of extra space here, but at least the image is in the right spot. We could also probably use that for our image up here, but this is the beginning of the section, so it almost looks nice having the image there first, but it's up to you if you want to do that with this one as well. Okay, so now let's go insert the next image. So I believe it's for the solar wind. Let's go double check that. Okay, so the solar wind, so it's this one. I'm just going to copy that. We might need to use the float barrier again. But I will take it off for now just to see if it is able to do it without it. Okay, and now let's just modify this. So we want solar wind. And the caption will be the solar wind. And then our figure label will be solar wind. Okay, so it did put it in the wrong spot again. And put it down here. So I'm going to use the float barrier. So now you can see the solar wind and the image is here. So there is space that it leaves, but at least our image is in the right subsection. And we may be able to go back and tweak some of this later to make it look like it fits better. Let's just get them in there and then we can always go and improve it. So the next one is the sunspots picture. So it's just called sunspots. So let's go to solar activity file under the subsection sunspots. And just go back here for a second. I'm just going to copy this. And so the name is sunspots. Take out the extension. And we'll just call it sunspots. And the label we'll just call sunspots. Okay, let's compile that and see what happens. So it wanted to put it under solar flares, so we're going to have to use the float barrier again. So now we have sunspots and then the image here and then the solar flares subsection. So now the next one is solar flares. So we're looking for this image here and I have a caption, a solar flare, or you can just call it solar flares. So it's looking like we're probably going to have to use a float barrier for these because they're very short subsections. So choose the solar flare image. Change the caption to a solar flare. And then we'll label it solar flare. Okay. Okay, so I'm not sure I like where it put it this time because there's quite a lot of space. Let's try taking the float barrier out for a second. Yeah, it's in the wrong spot. So we could adjust the size of these. So I'll just put it back with the float barrier. And then I think we're going to go back and tweak a few of these. Okay, so now let's go insert the prominence picture. Just going to copy this. And we'll go back to the document, So I just called it a prominence. And we'll just label it prominence. Okay, and it put it right in the below this part, but on the next page. So like I said, we can go and adjust the size of these. So I'm just going to see where they place them first. And I did overwrite the float on that as well. And I think our last image is the sun's life cycle. So it's this one right here, the life cycle of the sun. So I'll just go to sun life cycle section, and we want it to be right here where our comment is. So I'm just going to delete that now. So we want the sun life cycle picture here. I believe that's what we called it, the life cycle of the sun. Yep. And I'll just label it sun life cycle. And there we go. So, okay, that one's really large. So we're going to have to definitely resize that. So this is a good point to show you how to do that now. So before the image specification, so before specifying the file, you can use square brackets, and you can usually use square brackets with any of these, like a lot of these commands, to indicate specific things about the item that you're wanting to show. So we can specify the width and the height, or you can scale it. So you can say scale like 75%, or something like that. So let's try scale 0.75. Okay, so we can see on the right it did get smaller, but it's not small enough. So let's drop that to 50. A little bit more, so let's go 25. And now that's a little too small, I think. So let's bring it up to 30, maybe 35. That's looking a little better. Let's try 40. That's extending out past the text, so trying 36. I think 36 or 35 is probably the best. There, I think that's pretty good. Another way you can do this, so that's one way. So you see how I had to do trial and error, is you can say width is equal to the text width. So let's just keep this in mind for now. And I'm going to just show you the other way because I think it's faster. There. So it's pretty much the same as what we did before, but it's just a little faster. Okay, so that one fits there nicely. That's all we're going to do for this video, and in the next one we're going to look at these placements again and see if we can tweak some of the other items within the code here to make them fit better where we want them to go.